Let me ask you something. Why is it that every real estate investor believes that the problem is the deal? They can't find the deal. They can't find the deal with a big enough margin or spread, or they're just like, the market, right? They always think the problem is the deal. And they go, oh man, deals are dry right now. No, deals aren't dry right now. You're dry right now. There's a reason why you can only do one deal at a time. One. You and I both know why. It's because your deal, the money from that last deal that you have, is still trapped inside that house. The money you need for your down payment, for your EMD, for the renovations, for your renovation costs, it's stuck in the last deal. And that's when you end up in this situation right here. You're profitable, but you still feel stuck. And this happens every time you do the work, you find the distressed properties, you build your system, your relationship with your agents. If it's a market outside, if it's an out of state market, you have your renovation team, you found an experienced flipper, they do great work, or you found a way to sign contracts, you build up your list of end buyers, but you don't have the money needed to get to the next deal. Or if you're a wholesaler, you don't have the money needed for the EMD potentially. You're stuck doing one deal at a time. Why? Because your money is trapped inside drywall, inside flooring, inside the newly renovated kitchen that you knew that your prospects would love when they come to buy this property. So in this video, you're going to learn why flippers still feel stuck, why success doesn't automatically create freedom when capital is trapped, how capital gets trapped between deals, why profit alone isn't enough to scale, and what will allow investors to move consistently and continue to scale and grow consistently, right? I'll introduce to you a system that separates reactive investors from strategic operators. So let's dive into it. So you're probably thinking, who is this guy that he even is qualified to talk to me? Well, my name is Austin Sanford. I created a program called Capital Mastery. It's a proven system for predictable funding for real estate investors, specifically fix and flippers and wholesalers. And to date, in the last 2 years, we helped our clients secure over $1.7 million at 0% to use and solve that liquidity gap when it comes to scaling and growing their deals. Most people have no idea that this is even possible, that you can get huge amounts and limits available to you at 0% that you can use for your deals if you have a repeatable system. And that's the problem that our system solves, right? So let's dive into it. Like I mentioned, now when it comes to your capital to secure and scale, here's the reality behind the numbers. This isn't a skill issue. You can find the deals. You can fund these deals. You can execute with precision. The problem is the exact liquidity necessary for the opportunity when it shows up, right? Take a look at this graph here. I'll show you as a visual. We have, it's easy for you to identify the opportunity. You recognize a promising deal. You secure the funding necessary. You get an HML, and it's at 75% ARV or 90% of the purchase price. You execute the deal. You go ahead, you move forward. You even at that time have the money for the down payment, or you have the money for the EMD or the down payment necessary, or the extra 10% missing of the purchase price of the deal. You're rocking and rolling. The deal is executed. You either get it flipped, or you get the contract to sign, or you're ready to get this deal flipped. You're in the middle of, you're almost there. It's almost sold. But while you're in the middle of renovations, or while you're still assigning the contract, maybe you couldn't find a direct end buyer, so you had to find someone that was going to take a second position on that loan. Your capital becomes trapped. As soon as you enter into that deal, your funds become unavailable because of timing gaps. This is the thing that I've worked with real estate investors over and over about. And this is the reason that this is the number one reason that they struggle to scale and get more properties under their belt, right? Now, because your capital is trapped, there's a missed opportunity. The deal is lost due to a lack of liquidity. And then the worst thing that can happen is another deal pops up while you're in the middle of the deal that you're in, and you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the capital to do multiple deals at once. The thing that can happen is a deal shows up at the worst possible time. Your agent is standing in front of a distressed property. He knows exactly what your buy box looks like. He knows exactly what your lenders are willing to lend on. And he goes, I got a deal for you. And the spread, the margin is amazing. And you know there's nothing you can do about it because your money is tied up in the last property. So like I mentioned, what takes place? The deal shows up at the worst possible time. A realtor calls, a wholesaler texts, an off market property lands in your inbox. The numbers work, the deals make sense. You already know what's coming, but you are the guy on the other side of this mountain, on the other side of this ravine. You have no capital because your capital is trapped in the last project. And so when these three lead sources come in, you're stuck and you're far away from being ready to scale and start the next deal and get the ball rolling, right? Your last flip is killing your next deal, right? And I'm going to explain it to you. And I'll show you. Take a look at this diagram right here. This is called the liquidity gap. The liquidity gap is what I've named it. And so the problem here is three major things are needed in order for you to close on your deals consistently, right? Number one, you need experience. So you need to get as many deals under your belt as possible. This is going to help. This is going to open up the 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 avenues for more lenders, for you to be available to use more lenders, to use private money. A lot of them require a lot of experience. So the more experience that you have, the easier it'll be to close deals at a consistent rate moving forward. Now, obviously, it kind of compounds on itself. The next thing you'll need are lenders. You need numerous lenders available for financing. Some are willing to lend for you while you have multiple deals. Some are willing to do one deal at a time. It's also based on your experience and it's based on your relationship with that lender, right? So they might even sometimes cover 100% of the purchase price. There are lenders that do that. It just depends on what kind of hit you're looking to take on your deal when it comes to your profit margins. The last problem that um, flippers have a hard time solving is liquidity, insufficient liquidity at critical moments, right? And that's why I call the liquidity gap. If you don't have one of these three items listed, ready to go, you have systems, you have contacts ready to go. If you're missing one of these three items, you are going to miss your next deal. The opportunity that you found, the distressed property that came across your desk, will be sold. And experience is something that gains over time. There are more and more lenders hitting the market in the last 2 years that I've seen than ever before. But liquidity still remains the number one thing that flippers, it's a problem that flippers run into. And obviously, no one wants to use their own money in these deals. So, how do you solve that problem? This is the major problem that I've seen over and over and time again, right? So, like I mentioned, I stated previously, most experienced flippers don't have a deal problem, right? They can find deals, they can fund deals, they can execute deals with precision. They just don't have a system that keeps the capital liquid in between deals, right? You have capital. Let's say capital is represented by these little blue dots here on the screen, right? Before your deal, you have a surplus amount. This could be money that you've saved. This could be a business line of credit. This could be um, this could be money that you borrow from friends or family, wherever the case may be. You have a surplus of capital. Then you enter into your current deal, and therein lies the bottleneck. Right now, you are stuck. The capital of your is all locked inside of your current deal, and there's no capital left for your next deal. But what if you could implement a capital system that always keeps your liquid free so that you can continue, or it gives you the ability to access more liquid, more capital so that you can go and acquire your next deal at a rapid race, right? And most of you are aware of the gap I'm referring to. Most hard money lenders, which is the best product, in my opinion, for fix and flippers, they're either going to lend you 75% of the after repair value of the loan or up to 90% of the purchase price. But there's always some form of a gap needed or necessary. Now, obviously, this is after you find a deal that makes sense. The spreads and the margins have to make the most amount of sense. But the gap that you need to fill with your capital, if you have that gap, then you can continue to move forward and execute more and more deals and potentially execute deals at a higher price point. Get from the sub 100,000 or $150,000 properties to the above $300,000 properties, which obviously the more expensive the property becomes, the larger the gaps are, if that makes sense. Recently, I just closed on a property in Southern California. It was about $1.125 million. It was our primary residence. You could take a look at the video on this channel previously, and we put down 25%. So we put down over $200,000. But I had the capital liquid ready to go, and so I've used this system myself. And not only have I used this system, this is a system that I've taught countless real estate investors on how to implement. Now, as we both know, Every flip locks up cash in down payments and rehab costs. It carry expenses. And until that deal completes, your capital is frozen in place for the next 3, 4, or even 6 months, depending on how extensive the rehab is. So that means your growth isn't only limited to your ability to find deals, but it's limited to how fast your money gets recycled. And that's why even profitable investors still feel stuck. The math works on paper, but the timing kills the momentum in practice. And so you have two options as a real estate investor. You can take a look at this screen, this chart right here. You can choose velocity for capital growth and cadence for experience growth, right? And it just depends on which one you want to prioritize. If you prioritize maximum profit, right, you sacrifice velocity, how fast you can grow and scale. You have limited capital growth because most of your money will be tied in those big deals, and you can do a big deal, but investors want to know how many deals you've done, not necessarily what the spread and the profit margin was. Versus if you prioritize velocity and cadence, then moving as quickly as possible, you compound your capital and you compound your experience, which is ultimately going to open up the door for you to use more lenders because versus one person that went for the maximum amount of profit they can make on one property, you took a decent amount of profit, just enough on your first couple properties, and you're already 3 or 4 properties ahead. This makes you even more attractive to the major lenders and the major players in the game. So, from my perspective and from the countless real estate investors I've worked with, scale comes from deal flow, not from deal size. That might be controversial. I might have some people fight back. If you disagree, go downstairs, put in the comments, and let me hear your take. But from my perspective and the experience from the investors I've worked with, scale comes from deal flow, not from deal size. Now, here is the flipping cycle, as I call it. Here's are the 4 systems that every fix and flipper needs. Number one is acquisition. You need a way to find and secure these profitable deals. The second system that every flipper needs is rehab. Someone or a company, you're building a team that can execute the plan and improve the property. The next is disposition. Someone that can close the deals, and or not someone that can close the deals. You're closing the deals and you're realizing those profits. If you're a wholesaler, it's having a collection of end buyers that you're sending you're assigning these contracts to, or if you're a flipper, you have exactly, you have a great team of agents on the ground that can get this property sold, so you're not hanging up and inventory is not sitting on the market. But the last system is the system that investors do not. It's a two-part system, and they don't pay enough attention to it, and that's capital to enable all stages with sufficient funds. Now, when investors think systems, they only think I need a hard money lender. I need a certain amount of lenders. I need a lot of private money, which is true. That's one half of the system. The other half is you need a system of liquid so that you can hit these gaps. You can put down these deposits. You can put down these EMDs and continue to grow and scale. Private money is the best possible scenario. But until you are a full-fledged business and you're flipping full time, you're doing 5, 6 deals a year. You're doing 5 or 6 flips a year. You're doing 5 or 6. You're signing 5 or 6 contracts a month. Until you hit that mark, you're going to need a capital system to fill those gaps. That's where capital mastery comes in. Like I mentioned, it's the predictable funding system for fix and flips investors that we've created. And what it does, what it's designed to do, is help experienced flippers build predictable access to $50 to $100,000 at 0% interest. So capital is available before a deal shows up and not after the last one exits. This system helps flippers predictably fill gaps hard money can't cover, and doing it in a way that doesn't drain your reserves, force you to wait for liquidity, or force you to try to find an investor that's going to take second position on the loan, which you and I both know is extremely hard to do, right? And when you implement a strategy like this, you move from reactive as an investor to a strategic investor that's available and willing to scale. You can go from uncertainty to strategic positioning, from confidence, right? You want to get to confidence. You want to get to a place where you know no matter what deal comes across my desk and my table, I have the funds and the capital to get a hold of it, right? When capital is predictable, your business becomes scalable. Hear that again. As a fix and flipper and real estate investor, when capital is predictable, that's when your business become scalable. Who's our program for? Our program is for active real estate investors. They've completed at least one deal in the last 6 months. It's very minimum. You have a 700 plus credit score. You have no negative items on your credit report. You have below 40% utilization on all your cards, or you have the ability to pay it down in the next 7 days. And your credit limits across all your personal credit cards are 15,000 and up. If you fit this criteria, then the Capital Mastery funding system will work for you. If not, I urge you to get your credit profile and your finances in order, because this program and this program could change your life. The next deal belongs to the most liquid investor, right? That is huge. The next deal belongs to the most liquid investor. And so you have the opportunity to decide if that's going to be you or someone else. My company, Wholesome Lending Group, has created this program, Capital Mastery, and specifically designed it for fix and flippers and wholesalers. If this is something that could take your business to the next level, if having a capital system is the difference between doing one deal every 6 months or six deals in 6 months, and you fit the qualifications, click the link in description below and apply to work with us. And we would love to see if we can help you reach those goals and implement the system in your business. On this channel, we are going to continue to talk about how to solve some of the problems necessary for fix and flippers and wholesalers in this industry. If those are things that you're interested in, you are more than willing, or you're more than welcome to like this video, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for future videos. Until then, we'll see you in the next one.